Well, as you saw in the last video, it's not a 10-second car yet. We have more ideas, but that's for the future. As of right now, you can see the car is up in the air. We're doing one last go over on every nut and bolt to make sure the car is safe to drive, plus 2 final upgrades that I told you guys would add weight to the vehicle, so it might not be able to run a 10 in the future because of the weight, but we'll see. We have ideas, but let me show you what we got. So the first thing we got is this big tail housing to put on the transmission. As you can see on the box, it also came with this, a gear vender's unit, an overdrive unit. So if you guys remember, when I was driving this thing in the cooling video, the fastest we could go safely was 55 miles per hour. And then it would get too high in RPM and get really weird. So we have this gear vendor's unit to give us hopefully 70 miles per hour, since most of the interstates in Wisconsin are 70. That would be nice. Plus this tail housing unit that has to bolt to it. So we should be able to do this with it in the car, or at least we're going to try. We're going to see what we can do. Watch some videos on these installs, and they really don't look hard. You just take the tail housing off, put the new one in. There's a couple snap rings you got to look out for, and then bolt this unit to it and get a drive shaft. Okay, the wiring is more the hard part, but I'll do all that stuff. And then we've also crafted this concoction of a trailer hitch. I didn't film any of it. This is just like a Kurt universal hitch that we kind of extended our own way and made to go underneath the exhaust pipe. I don't know. It's hard to explain what we did. That's why I didn't record any of it, because it was a lot of work and a lot of brainstorming. But when this gets bolted to the car and we actually tow a trailer for the first time, because we're going on sick week, we need to tow a trailer with extra equipment, wheels, tires, tools, bags, stuff like that, clothing. We need to be towing a trailer. I will show you this kind of more in depth when it's in the car, but it's kind of freaky looking, but it works. Trust me, I'll show you. It was a little bit of movie magic and some oomph and a hammer. We got the new, rather old tail housing off the car. So you have to replace the tail housing because the new one's going to have a flange on it. You'll see all that when we get to that part. But there is some stuff we need to take out of here and transfer over to the new one we're trying to do on a bench in the shop. But this is a little shot of the inside the tail. I think it was 727. Kind of weird. Kind of funky looking. Well, okay, this is the snap ring. It was not easy to get out, but that needs to go into here. The snap ring needs to set back in that groove. Don't know how to do it, but we're going to figure it out. So then the park lever has the snap ring here you got to get out. And then this pin to get the park pawl out. Yeah, maybe you can just pick it out now. There you go. Snap ring for the park pawl. And that should just be able to lift out now, actually. So we need a 1/4 bolt to put in this pin. And you can thread it into this pin and then just pull it out. You get a 1/4 bolt. And hopefully it just lifts right out. Oh.
What was that?
Spring shot on the ground. Spring's down there. The spring goes on the lever. There you go.
Where does it go?
That way. This tail housing got the park stuff out of it. The springs, levers, pins, everything. Snap rings out. Put it in the new tail housing and it's ready to bolt back on right away. How does the... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. You got it now.
And I think it just fell into place. I wiggled it and it fell down.
Okay.
So
There we go. So we got this little paw in there all the way. The lever's in. It's got spring tension on it with the spring in there. That's right. We got the snap ring in. That was not fun, but it's in. Okay, and one more snap ring to put in. This tail housing should be good to get put back on, I believe. Nice. Cool. Snap ring is in there. Park lever. Spring loaded. Spring is in there. That snap ring's in there. I think it's time to put gaskets on and bolt it up. All right, well, I didn't record it, but we got the new tail housing, and it was kind of a 2-guy job. You got to feed the shift lever into the tail housing, so it kind of takes 2 guys to do this, but... Got it in, all the bolts are started. New gasket is in. We had to trim the gasket, but not a big deal. So just some, take the bolts out, a little bit of blue Loctite, make sure they're good, torque them down, and then it's time for what's next. There we go. Well, we got this coupler in, shimmed right. Now it's time to play with the actual unit itself. Oh, there you go. There's the unit itself. So time to jack it in and get it set up. So the cool thing about this is you just take it out, slide the gasket on, it can go right back in the car. Just literally put these on, bolt nut, torque spec. That's really it. That's all you do to put these things in the vehicle. So I'm not gonna record it because this thing probably weighs all of at least 30 pounds, if I'm guessing, maybe 25. So it's a 2-person job, but I'll show you guys the finished product here in a second. Oh, we weren't sure if it was gonna fit in here, but yeah, It's not even close. It actually, I mean, it actually, it's not even a tight fit. It actually fits great. It's almost like it was supposed to be in here. Looks awesome. Well, there it is. Let's get some hardware on it. It's got studs, so it's not gonna fall down, but get some hardware on it, get this thing in here. Look at that. It's in the car. So we decided to throw the Y pipe in for the full exhaust to see if it fit. We thought it was gonna hit the gear fender, and I think it's the first time ever working on this car that we got lucky.
The hanger's not in here, so we'll have to make sure.
Oh yeah, this goes up a little bit, but it's not gonna go in. It's not gonna go in and hit this. So the gear fender fits in the vehicle. We got 2 bolts in it just to check, and the exhaust actually clears with no modifications. Nothing changed at all. That's lucky as shit, isn't it? We've never once gotten lucky on this car. This is the first time. I'll take it. We did run into one complication with the gear fender. So it turns out, even if you're only using manual mode, you need the speedometer cable to actually be hooked up. It will not shift into overdrive unless you're going at least 25 miles per hour. So we ran this through the floor, had to drill a hole in the floor here. And because we use a GPS speedometer for the actual car for street driving, this doesn't go to anywhere. This cable goes to the sensor that is just, zip tied to the floor underneath the driver's seat. So that was the only thing that we had to do in terms of cutting or modifying anything, was drill this hole, which is grounded through the floor, for the speedo sensor to lay on the ground. And then add to it our drive shaft. Got this shortened, got the length right. We put the new yoke on that gear vendor sends just to make sure it's the right thing. So drive shaft is in, new yoke is on. This is all tightened and torqued. We did all that already. Put fluid in it, topped it off on fluid. Exhaust pipe is back in the car, so that's ready to go. So the gear vendor, as of right now, is actually ready to take out and test, but there's one more thing we need to do. We gotta get this thing put in. Probably thinking, what the hell is this? Well, what it is, it's a Kurt 1.25" receiver, like bolt together universal kit that you can make for a trailer hitch. Instead of bolting it though, we welded the ends on, and this was actually too narrow. So we used some thick wall chromoly tubing and extended this out to 1/4" steel plate, some gussets for reinforcement, and we had to do this to get around some of the exhaust and suspension in the rear of the car. But these holes here are lined up to bolt in these tow hook plates, and these tow hook plates on each side actually bolt with 4 bolts direct to the frame. So our trailer hitch is still technically mounted right to the frame rail. It's just bolted to the tow hook that's bolted to the frame rail. So the end result is the same, but we got to get that in. And then you're probably thinking, what the hell are you towing with it, right? We went out and got this. This is a oversized, I think it's an Alumilite XL Harley Davidson trailer, and it's light. Look at this, watch this. Watch it, I am gonna just pick it up, like that. I can just lift it. It doesn't weigh anything. We got this off the guy on Marketplace for a great deal. I think it was like $1,200. Said he only used it 3 or 4 times and then fell ill and had to get rid of it. It's basically brand new. It's just a motorcycle trailer that is oversized, and it's got, shoot this up. It has got huge cargo space. So this is more than what most guys use. So for our car, this should be plenty. But with the gear fender in and done, the trailer hitch bolted on, which we're gonna do right now, we can take this for a tow and make sure everything's good. But she'll be able to fit everything we need inside. And then wheels and tires on top, fuel jugs in the front to give it tongue weight, and we're gonna see how it tows. It should work great. And I wanted to come in here and talk quick about how I have this wired up. You can see I have the buttons and the lights right by where my trans brake button is. I wired this different. So this button here, they usually give you a dimmer switch to click this like this. But in the instructions, they say use the middle prong and one of the side prongs. Well, if you've ever used one of these dimmer switches before and wired one of these, you know that that is effectively just going to make it an on-off switch. So I actually took this out, and I just have a toggle on-off for the manual mode. The automatic mode switch is in. I plan on never using this and just using manual and going on and off like that. So I did wire it differently, but the wiring wasn't too bad. The harness comes with, crimp ends that you just got to crimp on and plug it all in and make it work. But hopefully this works good here. It shouldn't make any difference. We're going to find out on drive soon. We need to go pick up a receiver for the thing. So Lola and I are in the car. We're going to run out to whatever, a Fleet Farm or something, try to pick up the receiver. But this thing should be able to turn on once we get over 25 miles per hour. This road over here is a 30. So once I get to 30 in second gear, I'm gonna hit our button and see if we got vendor or not. If not, we got problems. This is true street trim right here. See if we have vendor. We got vendor. It works. The gear vendor fucking works. Sorry for cussing. Let's go. That's so exciting. You have no idea how much work this was. You have no clue how much work this was. It works. See if we have vendor. We got vendor. It works. The gear vendor fucking works. Sorry for cussing. Let's go. That's so exciting. You have no idea how much work this was. Let's go. Let's turn it off. And it kicks down. Now we're in 3. We have gear vendor. Yes! After days of work, we have gear vendor. That's actually so exciting. You have no idea. With the new tires on too, the car feels like it's like floating. Those tires were cupping it so hard. This thing's so much easier to drive now. I'm so happy the vendor worked. Alrighty, here it is. Full unit. Trailer is hooked up to the receiver and attached and everything, wired. We tested the lights work. This is it. We're ready for race week. This is it. This is the last step. We're gonna go on the highway and make sure it drives good on the highway, but I mean, this is it. We're ready to go. Okay, so we got the trailer hooked up. We got everything in the car. It is full street mode right now, 100% street mode. We're gonna take it out with the vendor on the highway, see how hot it gets, see how fast it goes. This is the last drive before we load up to leave. What I'm hoping for is that we can go, I'm hoping we can go 70 safely. That's what I'm hoping with the vendor. I am glad. It's a bit of a warmer day today and the humidity is really bad. And I'm kind of glad because we get to see where our temps end up. I did lean it out just a little bit because the spark plugs had some black shit on them. So I leaned it out just a little. So I'm hoping it doesn't get too warm at cruise, but we're gonna find out. It is running a little bit hotter because it's a little bit leaner in the tune right now. The real test. Gear vendor on the highway with the trailer. Let's see how we do. So about 2,500 RPM is like 60 to 65. I mean, that's fine. I'm not terribly angry about that. I was hoping to get 70, but this is fine. We're also going uphill, so we'll see what it's like when we get after this uphill portion. Since I did make that little tune change, I'm watching the temp. If the temp starts to climb a little bit, we're gonna have to change the tune really quick back to 13.0 at cruise. It's at 13.5. It might not like it on a warmer day. About 170 degrees after all that. Trans temp is still pretty cold, so I'm not mad at 170. We'll just have to see. We got another like 2 or 3 mile stretch here, and it's cooling down to 169. So 170, totally fine. Way colder than it needs to be. Let me get a close up. 170, 169. We can go about 60, 65. Totally fine. I'm no complaints going 60, 65. Better than going 50, 55 like we were before. So we gained about 10 mile an hour on the highway safely. And that's while towing as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. So we got off the highway to get onto another exit and it went up to about 175. Now let's work its way down to 170. So on a hot, warm, humid day like today, it seems to want to be about 170 at around like that. Well, this is a 55 road, so we're only going 55, 60. So that's fine. 170, I'm not. If it was over 180, I might play with the tune, but 170, I can run 170. I got no issues with 170. That's fine. There we go. 171. We were going probably 60, 65 that entire time, besides you're behind that semi-truck, so it's fine. As far as I'm concerned, as of right now, it's ready. That's it. It's ready to go. 100%. So after that test drive, looking at the temps, looking at everything, the car is happy as can be. We don't have to crawl on the highway. Everything functions 100% as it's supposed to. It's got good oil pressure. Everything's good. Every temp is good. It tows a trailer that we just got to load, and that's it. I mean, that's it. Load the trailer up, get it down there. Let's go to Sick Week. So the next thing you see on the channel is going to be Sick Week Summer. That'll be the next thing we put out, will be videos from Sick Week Summer. So if you haven't already, like the video, leave a comment saying how excited you are for Sick Week Summer, hit the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, and make sure you look at your notifications for the Sick Week videos. Well, there you go. I guess that's it. From the ground up, starting with a literal shell, I built a fucking race car. Because at this point, the car's done. This is it. Like, well, everything we're doing from here on out is an upgrade. This is just done. This is final version.
Only took forever.
I know. I am 27 years old, and I bought the car when I was 19.
Did you actually?
Yes, I bought this car when I was 19.
That's
And it's I know, it's finally done. It took me 8 years to build this car, but this is it. It's done. As of right now, because all this shit works, this is it. We're done. Everything after this is just upgrades.